Hi, welcome back to the East Baton Rouge Parish Library System Grab and Go program. My name's Erica, the teen librarian at Dunmont Gardens, and today I'm going to teach you how to make a mini book with pictures. As a reminder, all of our grab and goes are first come, first serve. So for this, you're going to need paper bags, at least two, cardstock or construction paper, a glue stick, and scissors. As you can see here, I have left a few pages blank of our paper bag book, and I have already glued the book together. I just folded them in half and glued them along what will be the seam of the book. You're going to create your own story, but these blank pages here are going to be the one that I make as an example. Now what I'm doing right here is creating a storyboard. I draw out how much space I have very briefly, like it doesn't have to be art, and I come up with the tale that I'm going to tell. In this case, I decided to do Snow White. I realized I wouldn't have enough space to finish the story, so I just included kind of up to the most exciting part, which is where the queen thinks she killed Snow White, but really, she got away. All that fun stuff. If you're not familiar with the story, Snow White's really pretty. Her stepmother is angry about it. She tells a huntsman to take the girl's heart. He can't. He gives her a deer heart instead. Snow White runs away, meets 7 dwarves, eats a poison apple, and is saved by a prince. So this story is only going up until the heart part, just so you know. One of the big parts of that story is the magic mirror. So I had a bunch of old CDs lying around, and I very carefully cut a part of that CD out so it would look like a mirror. I then glued it down on that paper and outlined it in black. My game plan was to create a frame to put around the picture, but to make it look more magical, so to say, I thought to put a black background behind it. That's also going to allow it to look like it's popping more, which you'll see in a moment. Every piece you make for your storybook can be either created and then glued onto it or drawn directly onto the paper bag. That's the really fun part about this project, is that it is really up to you on how you make it, and the sky is the limit. You can craft your pieces the way I am here. You can draw your pieces, or you'll see later, you can print things out from the computer and put them in the book as your illustrations instead. After I finished cutting out the piece, I had decided I didn't like the shape that I made, so I edited it a little bit here and decided to bring this shape back later, the kind of pointy yellow spikes, and you'll see that at the end for the queen. Now, as I said before, you could either draw or glue pieces on. I wanted to show you here the different things you can do. Instead of taping or gluing a piece of black paper down, I decided to create texture by coloring in the paper bag with marker. You can use marker. It comes out really, really bright, and it pops really well. And you can see here I'm testing to see exactly how it looks and how much space it's going to give me. And then you can decide what you like best. I'm doing a couple different techniques because I want you to see all the options that you have. If you do use marker, please put a piece of paper or something underneath it so that you do not get your table messy. But as you can see, after I finished coloring, I glued down my piece with the magic mirror. And then because I am working with a bunch of different mediums, I chose to write in white color pencil to make it pop out. I tried it with red marker and things like that, but it just sort of fades back into the background. So just play around with what you're using and make the coolest effects that you can with what you have. In this case, marker and crayon pencil on top of it, it really caused it to pop. The paper bags have a little flap on the bottom that if you were to just, open it up, it's where it would sit flat, which is what I'm showing you here. You can use this as 2 different storytelling techniques. You can either fold it over and glue it and just continue telling the story, or you can use it as a little middle piece of the tale. So in here I'm using this to have that famous quote, who's the fairest of them all. I'm using liquid chalk for this, for the fairest part, because I needed it to pop out. And then the next side is going to be a landscape image of like sky and grass. And then I'm going to show you how you can make little figures just by cutting out the cardstock and illustrating on it. So I drew a very small profile face, and you can see on the side I had a rough draft of what I wanted to do. Once I have just her features down, that's when I'm going to add other things like hair, clothes, etc. I just want to get that face right because I find faces very difficult to do. For Snow White, she has, very dark hair, so I outlined the face in white, but backwards, so her features aren't facing me, so that when I cut out this piece, it's going to fit her face perfectly. Then I put together the rest of her body. I just folded some paper to make that skirt look three-dimensional. I colored some flowers on a piece of cardstock and then slid it between the paper here. And I printed out a picture of a baby deer to show how gentle and kind this character is, that even little animals will appear for her. I am not good at drawing animals, so I printed that off the computer, and you are welcome to print out any image you need to make your books. You don't even have to draw or craft in the way that I'm doing it here. Now in the story, the huntsman gives the evil queen a box with a deer heart in it and pretends that it's Snow White's heart. So that's what I'm creating in this part here, is that box. Now, remember how I talked about the flaps earlier? You are going to be able to do really neat little effects with that. So for me, on this one, I made the outer part, the bottom part where the bag would be standing, as the box. And then when you fold it over, as you'll see after I secure this with glue, is that you can open it up, and that created my, with a heart inside effect. So when you're making your books, you can have that kind of surprise element with your tale. So you can have it saying like, here's this thing, and then you can open it up and surprise, there it is. The last part I did here was just the back of Who's the Fairest. It gives it sort of like an ominous ending by accident, but if I had had more pages, it then would have shown Snow White again, and she would have realized that the girl was still alive, and then done her whole turning herself into like an old woman and giving her a poison apple. So for this part though, this is where my version of the story ends. Your stories do not have to be fairy tales. They can be anything that you want, but I wanted to show you the different techniques to put these things together. Now, at the end, I will show you what the whole thing looks like and how you can utilize the whole book, but I hope that you have a lot of fun and make your own stories. You can follow the theme of our summer reading program this year, which is Tales and Tales, or you can create your own tales and stories. I hope that you have fun with this, and I hope that you enjoy our grab and go programs, as well as our in-person and virtual programs that we'll be hosting this summer, and we look forward to seeing you. Have a safe and happy summer. We'll see you soon.